I belong to you. I belong to you. Do just what you want. You're the one I trust, and I'll always be around when I need some loving, baby. No one else. Yeah. Let you down. Let you down. All my melodies that take me to your heart. I belong to you. Take me to your soul. No one else. Let you down. All my melodies.
What was this video going to be about again?
The Bucky.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So
Welcome to Dwayne's channel.
Rage Garage channel.
Okay, welcome to Red Garage channel.
Yeah. Moving on to the Mazda F1300 Bucky, as some of you guys might not have known, because I always used to get asked, what kind of Bucky is this? Is it a Nissan Champ, or what kind of Bucky it is?
Oh, where's the champ?
Yeah, so not many people in Cape Town know about that model Bucky, and it doesn't have badges on it either. So there's nothing that gives away that it's a Mazda Bucky. So you kind of have to know the shape to know what kind of Bucky it is.
Or you must be old.
All that, but I'm not old. But we'll get now to the story of how it got to us purchasing that Bucky. So Dad, if you just want to explain to them.
Yeah, so I've always had a thing for that Bucky. It has an independent chassis. It's not like the 1400s. It doesn't really have a chassis per se. It's I'm not sure what the word they use.
It's more frame.
It's the chassis is bent into the plate work of a Nissan Bucky, right? Put it mildly. What's the word? I'm not sure.
It's more like a mini hot rod. It's got the chassis build and
Yeah.
you can take the cab
Yeah,
and
so,
the
yes.
off it.
So I always thought it was a strong Bucky, and my initial idea was to put a 1600 Kent in there with side offs, nice floaty, nice camshaft, maybe sapphire gearbox.
The old school.
Yeah, something easy but fun.
And not electronic also. No,
Yeah, one wire basically to get everything going. So I happened to come across this advert on Facebook, I think it was, if it wasn't Gumtree, of a guy in Grocery Park advertising this particular one. I don't know if you can see what it is I'm talking about there. But that was the bakkie when we first had a look at it. We didn't want too much for the bakkie. It was scrapped, it had papers, and it was brought down from Springbok, if I'm not mistaken.
On the trailer, taken
On
apart.
a truck actually.
Prep
On
for
the
spray.
truck, yeah,
Prep
yeah,
for
it was
spray
spray.
as you bought it, yeah.
So the mountain box was still in there, the prop shaft. That bits are still hanging in the back somewhere. It had been reconditioned but never completed, so
Yeah, because when we took the motor apart, we took the head off. The head wasn't fastened down.
it wasn't torqued
So we
down
took the
properly.
cylinder head off, and underneath that was a brand new head gasket for the
Yeah,
engine.
new
So
pistons,
Yeah.
crank was just cut with new bearings, oil pumped and that sort of thing. But obviously we weren't going to use that, so we just took it out and then, well, we took it out. Did we take it out before we bought the motor or after?
I think that was
After. Bought the
that
motor.
might have
Before.
been
Anyway, Dwayne's
Before.
gonna post some pictures on how the bakkie looked when we got it. And then a bloke also advertised a 2-liter Toyota engine on Gumtree and gearbox.
a 2-liter Pinto.
A 2-liter Pinto, yeah. Dwayne's gonna put a picture up here somewhere. It came out of his baby Crusader, but he had run a bearing knob while they were tuning this particular car. He didn't want too much money for that either, and we struck a deal. I went to have a look at the engine. He started up and I could hear the bearing knob, but everything else worked. So we sealed the deal, and he took the motor out and I fixed it the next day.
And it is a motor and box.
Motor and box, yeah. So obviously we needed, I didn't even care about what was inside there or to what extent the damage was. When we brought it home, we took it apart. We sourced a standard crank for the Pinto. Another bloke around over the bridge from where we live, he had broken up same engine and he had rods and pistons there. And he also sourced us a new
It was an oil pump.
3SGE oil pump.
2-liter Pinto.
Sorry, yeah, to the
I'll
Pinto
just edit that
3SG,
out.
yeah. Pinto oil pump, bearings, which is actually interchangeable with
I think he
some of the
sourced the
engines.
filters also for us, the two different
Yes,
oil
that's correct.
filters.
Yeah, he bought us. Yeah, he got us the
Yeah,
correct
two
filter for
different
the
models.
motor, and the two of us then started with assembly. So we didn't even bother doing honing or nothing like that. All we did was we didn't replace the rings on the motor. If you look at some videos, you see it does give off some smoke when it pulls off the line, but it's old enough to smoke, so we didn't bother.
It sweats from all the kilowatts.
Yeah. Yeah, so we started putting the motor together with all some old parts, some new parts, and once we had the sub-assembly completed, did we done it for then, or was the motor completely assembled?
The motor was complete when we
Is
put
it?
it.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. So
so the
we-
box.
Yeah, so we built the engine complete. We used the old cam belt, the same cylinder head gasket. We didn't change that.
We just sprayed some copper gasket maker. Is that what it's
Yeah,
called? Some of that, yeah. On the cleaned, we basically took off all the old material that was still on the head
all the
gasket.
muck.
Yeah, because it was a steel gasket, so you could scrape off the residue.
Yeah.
And then we sprayed the
Yeah.
copper.
You'll be
gasket
surprised
on
how many times you can use that same gasket. Let me just tell you that. I'll go over that. Then once we had the motor completed, we bolted up the gearbox against it, and the idea was, just to have the complete setup ready for installment. And once we had that done, we started cutting on the shell of the bakkie.
Also, we should mention that you bought the bakkie because you liked the shape of the bakkie.
Yeah.
And we bought the engine because it's a reputable engine
Yeah.
and it's very durable.
Yeah.
So
we started making provision for for the engine and gearbox to fit proper. Like so, it's different because it was a 1.3 engine in there originally. So the engine mounts had to change. We'll show you some pictures of where we worked.
Yeah, after the interview, I'll post a slideshow showing you guys all the progress pictures from when we got the bakkie up until how the bakkie looks today.
Yeah.
So you will get a nice slideshow.
So all we needed once we pretty much built the engine into the engine bay was the yoke.
Yeah, we needed a prop shaft yoke.
The prop shop yoke. We used the original prop shop of the 1300 Mazda engine and gearbox assembly, and the diff that's in there is still the original 1.3 diff differential. Yeah, so it's got nice size shafts in there. We've had the diff welded, and no problems there. The shafts never bend. We've got Toyo process on the back, and when it's sticky, the diff doesn't break.
It doesn't even break.
Yeah. So okay, we jumped the gun a bit here now, but yeah. So once the motor was built into the chassis, the next challenge we had was with the exhaust manifold. Now,
before you go on to that,
yeah,
the prop shaft that we had on the bakkie, it's also the original prop shaft. So it's got the same mounting points on the diff. However, the prop shaft was longer than needed for that application. So it made it easier for us to just tailor make the shaft and weld the yoke on the end, because we didn't have to extend, they actually had to shorten the prop shaft. So it's not like they had to add material on, they just had to cut it to size and weld the yoke on. So
we didn't battle to get the yoke, did we?
Yeah, no, we didn't.
It's floating around out there.
They are around, yeah.
Yeah. Dwayne will also show you some pictures of where he took the back section off. Then he starts cleaning the chassis, but that is the blue prop shaft is what we got back from. Who was the guy that did that prop shaft? Are we gonna put their names on there? Anyway, so yeah, so that prop was nicely done. It came back nice and clean. It fit first time, and we didn't have a problem with vibrations or anything.
And it was well balanced also.
Yeah, it was a good job.
It was nice.
So yeah, so once that all of that was sorted out, obviously the next thing was what I was saying about the exhaust system. So the nice thing about the 1400 Nissan bakkie is you've got the chassis section it's much wider than the Mazda bakkie outside, because once you put the dual beams in the Nissan 1400, the Pinto in Nissan 1400, there's enough place for the branch and exhaust to go out. In the Mazda bakkie, however, and maybe Dwayne can post a picture of how our exhaust works, because it's so narrow, the exhaust has to go on the outside of the chassis, and that's why you'll see that the exhaust is because it's visible from the left hand side of the vehicle. There was just no way of putting it, between the chassis rails. So
I think we had to cut away of the balance.
we had to cut away of the inner balance, yes, because that's not important because it's just a cab on a chassis. So there's no structural integrity lost in that action there. We spent some time figuring out how we're going to do it. It's a makeshift job, but it works. Do you know what I mean? So before anything else, there's a picture there where it shows the exhaust just coming out behind the front left wheel.
It's funny you should say if it works, because that was a whole bottle while we were
doing it. It works. Yeah. So
if it doesn't fit, make it fit.
Yeah. Then after that, after everything was built in, we've sort of figured out how the exhaust is going to work. Management was the next thing. So we bought a facet fuel pump. We bought another pump. What was that?
That was a Mark. No, let me not say.
Was
Mark.
it a
That was a 1.4 Golf.
Is it? No, that's a fuel filter.
No, that was a fuel pump.
Is it?
It was also, I think it was a velocity fuel pump.
Oh, okay.
A 4-bore pump.
So it's a 4-bore velocity pump
in there,
and a facet pump.
Into the fuel reservoir.
yeah, into a reservoir that feeds to the injection
Fuel.
system and fuel in front. We did all that beforehand. We had someone do a bit of wiring on the car because, as you see in the pictures, there's no engine bay loom there. So all of that had been removed because the initial idea was to do a respray by the previous owner. We like the red look, and that's why the bucket looks the way it looks. Also, if you want it to look better, depending on your style, it's going to cost a couple of bucks. You know what I mean? So for us, it was just a budget build.
Yeah.
Spend as little money as possible. Explore your skills, use it to the best of your ability, and get the vehicle going.
Yeah. Everything on the bakkie was budget build.
Yeah.
From the body to the engine. So our main idea was just to do a cheap little budget build, but also something that can run quick times on a quarter mile.
Yeah.
So that was the whole idea. Therefore, we didn't spend any money on doing body work and all that. The main goal was just to get the engine in there, get the bakkie driving, and seeing what times we could make. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do a proper time because
but we go up the quarter mile in Mexico a bit quicker than other cars, so it's not too bad. If you factor the cheap option we use, I mean, when I say facet, some of you guys know what I'm talking about. It's not an expensive pump, but it helps. You know what I mean? So
it works now and then.
Yeah, we did. So some wiring was done by a bloke every now in the retreat. When I came back, that was just to get the lights working. It doesn't work to pass roadworthy, but it works for, the lights go on when you switch the light on. We don't have indicators on there. The wipers work when it wants to, and sometimes both work, sometimes just the one.
Independent.
Yeah. So after we had the wiring done, we sent it to RBT. RBT. Who fitted the management for us, and that management dictator management. 60 minus
36 minus 1.
36 minus 1, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. 36
minus 1 beams
Pinto beams. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pinto.
Yeah, so he was, the bakkie was sent to him after the main bakkie's loom was done. He was the one who fitted the engine management loom.
Yeah, he hooked it into the original loom.
And did the first startup for us basically with our half exhaust. At that time, the exhaust exit it came from the branch
to behind the front wheel.
Yeah,
that was it.
A resonator, don't forget. The resonator was there, yeah.
Is it?
It came from the resonator into a side exit tailpiece,
Yeah.
So it was very loud. But yeah, the bakkie was by him and he did the first startup, had a tune, but from the first startup already there was a noise on the engine, on the head cylinder.
So Dwayne does have a video clip of the day the bakkie was started. It was given its first tune. Some serious issues when it started up. Obviously, the only time you know you've got oil leaks is when the motor runs. Also, there was a noise on the cylinder head. Only after a while we found out was I
think it was the valve guide.
No, it was not the valve guide.
It was what do you call that thing?
The lash pad. So the lash pad.
That one.
would for some reason just jam, causing something like a bearing knock noise, but it was just the cam lobe knocking against the lash pad. It wasn't properly operating down the sleeve in which it works. So that resulted in Dwayne buying another cylinder head from someone he knows. We had that cleaned up at Hawkers. He's got another video of where we've just done all the work, putting the head back on, and then first start up, there's no radiator connection, no cooling yet, so it's just from the first start out. He goes into an idle, he does rev it a bit, and then it switches off, and obviously we do the rest of the water connections afterwards. But that cylinder is just sweet, that's quiet, and that's what we want really. So yeah, what happened next? We started working on suspension at the back. So I didn't like the fact that the bucket was standing high at the back.
And also it was unstable because a rear-wheel drive car, some of them in the factory form, once you have a big power plant and you do a burnout or anything like that, you tend to get tough bounce at the back. And my dad, with the experience that he has with his Mark 1 Escorts from back then, he always used to stiffen the rear suspension up with, what was it? Is it the spacer block they call it?
Spacer block, and another leaf spring, a thicker leaf spring.
And extended leaf springs, yeah, to lower the back, and at the same time it makes the car more stable.
Yeah.
Without removing any of the leaves, because that thing has still got the leaf suspension in at the back.
If you attempt a standstill burnout, you know that diff bounces at the back.
Yeah, your rims is not the only thing that bounce.
Yeah, so we've got the same setup in the back of this bakkie, but there's no bouncing whatsoever. When you look at the videos and the bakkie pulls away, those wheels don't bounce, it's just flat all the way. No issues. So I did lower it by a 70mm aluminium spacers. We extended the existing U-bolts. So obviously we lowered the bakkie by 70mm, and there might be a picture of the blocks that we used there. We spent one afternoon doing that modification, and yeah, it works. The bakkie the stance is better. I'm really fond of how it looks. We got 13-inch slicks.
Full slicks, yeah.
Full slicks that we ran on a Ford. Oh, it's the Ford PCD also, for you guys don't know. So we had 13-inch rims, steelies that we put inside the full slicks. 13 inches. Wow, what was that? How wide was that tire? 205.
I'm not sure. It might have been a 205, yeah. It's a wide tire.
By that time we've had motor fitted, exhaust done, management done, wiring loom done. The bakkie was lower at the back. We put wide tires on, sticky tires, and went to go to Mexico just to see what it does. And
I'm sure I don't know what Mexico
yeah,
is.
and we discovered that we've got a bakkie that doesn't go too badly. So maybe at this point, you know, we'll show you some videos. Yeah. This is the part you edit out.
Yeah, that's what
Just playing videos now.
Yeah.
Ito po.
Wala ko biblaw ka.
So as you guys can see, the Bucky, it's really a fun thing to drive, with it being real drive especially. It's never a dull moment when putting it through spaces. Um, it's a lot harder to control than a front wheel drive car with the same or bigger power engine. But
Yeah, we've got the same steering mechanism Noah had on his arc.
and it probably felt the same as those.
That's what you find in the movies, you know, you're driving straight and the guy's
Yeah,
always doing
the
that.
cartoons.
And that's just to keep it going straight, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's straight line steering is what they call
Yeah.
it. So yeah, as for future plans with the Bucky,
we have no future plans for the Bucky.
and that is the future plans for the Bucky.
Yeah, so we'll be starting with a different project shortly. We'll be posting another video. We might be making frequent videos, you know, updating everyone on our build.
Yeah, there's no further information at this point because we're still undecided as to what the next project is, but we decided to leave the Bucky as it is for now. Yeah, I think the Bucky has made its name. It's shown
Its
potential and what we are capable of at Ray's Garage. So yeah, the Bucky still got a lot of work on it, and the next project that we want to take on will be a project that doesn't have as much work. So yeah, that's pretty much. I think that's
the Bucky in a nutshell.
yeah, that's
So,
the
yeah.
Bucky in a nutshell in Ray's Garage.
So yeah, if you guys enjoy the video,
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment if you would like. If you would like to ask anything that we didn't mention in the video, don't be shy. You can comment. And also, I just hit a blank now, so we can just edit this out.
yeah,
Um,
stay tuned for our upcoming build.
yeah.
Okay, my push button.